Hello, my name is Anna, and this is Maria.
Hi.
Yes, today we're gonna speak about the very important topic. Maria, say about this topic.
Okay, I will say it. Today we are going to talk about the impact of the screen, basically, in our brains. So how everything is working and how it works, how our brain works when we are in front of a screen, in front of a screen light. And so it's going to be a very interesting topic, although probably it's going to be a little bit deep. So you must
Yes,
pay attention. Uh-huh.
of course. And let's ask each other a question. How much time do you spend in front of your screen? How much time during the day?
I think about 6 hours or so. Depends. It depends. And I have this on my cell phone, for example. I have this timing, not timing, but it's not an alarm, but the cell phone tells me how much time I'm on the screen. And so it's a good tracker because
Mhm.
that way I know that if I need to reduce the hours I spend in front of the screen. And of course, many times when I use the phone, I am not looking at the screen, so it depends. But I also spend time in front of my computer. And yeah, it's sometimes, I feel so drained, I feel so tired, and I don't know why. And then I start, like thinking, what did I do today? And I spend a lot of time in front of a screen. So probably that is why we feel so very tired at the end of the day and we don't even know why. And so, yeah, but between 5 and 7 hours in front of a screen. What about you?
Oh, that's a good question because all my work is watching in front of my screen, and because I have remote job, and on my weekends I have books that I'm reading on my phone. I have movies that I'm watching during the day, and audiobooks, but I'm not looking at the screen. And this is only the time and other time. So it's probably a long time, about 7 hours per day or more. So it's
Oh,
a huge thing. Yes.
yeah, I remember when I was younger. And I remember when I was young, and I actually didn't spend much time on the screen. And I have never been such a kind of girl that it's like Instagram all day and uploading photos. And I'm not the kind of Instagram person or social media person, but still somehow nowadays that I sometimes I think that what did I do when I didn't have my laptop, for example? What did I do when I didn't have a cell phone? Like I could do tons of things. I was just so energetic, and nowadays it's kind of is it lazy, kind of lazy mood because I know that if I get bored, probably I will find something interesting on internet or something like that. And I don't really like it because although I can find interesting things on the internet, I could also use my brain for other things. I don't know, to discover things, to do things with my hands, to learn a new skill with my hands, doing something, different from being in front of a screen. So,
Yes.
yeah, I am kind of trying to be on the mood of doing new things without the screen involved. Yeah.
Okay. And speaking about this topic, we couldn't not to say about the very important person in this
Yeah.
group.
Andrew Huberman. Anna has a crush on him. So
Definitely.
I think I do too. But yeah, it's very important. The topics that he talks about, they are quite interesting because I think at the same time everybody is talking about them, but Huberman, he talks differently about these topics. Of course, he's a scientist and all that. So Anna and I decided that we should talk about the brain and the screen, the impact that the screen has on our brains. So we decided to check on some information about Huberman and what he thinks about it. And we've discovered interesting facts about it. How our nervous system is kind of the main character of everything that happens to us, and how our feelings and our emotions are the product of our nervous system, and that we have also neuromodulators, that these neuromodulators are the ones that produce some dopamine, serotonin, and other chemicals in our system and in our brains. So they have these chemicals, the neuromodulators, they have these chemicals that are released and make us feel certain emotions. And this is very interesting because these neuromodulators are, of course, in a very deep connection with how our brains, our eyes are looking at the screen, how the screen impacts our brains. So it's like, it's crazy information, but it's very interesting. And I think it's very important for us to understand it because sometimes we don't know why we feel certain ways. Why are we feeling some emotions? We usually tend to think that we cannot control our emotions because it's just like a release of the chemicals and we cannot control them. When actually we can control them, we can have some discipline, we can do many, many different stuff. And you were talking about the neuroplasticity of the brain. And Andrew Huberman actually says something interesting about, we have this idea that the children are the ones that have all this neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity is basically the ability of the brain to have like flexibility to absorb knowledgement, basically. So children, of course, are very like new to this world and they just want to absorb everything. They don't need to make a great effort. For example, children can speak 3 languages, 4 languages, and they don't even know how they learn them because it's just they are absorbing, they are like sponges. And when we are getting older, then our neuroplasticity is a little bit more difficult to work. And so many people think that, oh no, I'm too old for this. We even have a saying in Mexico about that, okay, that the old people cannot learn new things, new skills, basically. And so in a funny way, of course, because it's Mexico. But it's interesting that Andrew Huberman says that it's not quite correct, that we can learn, we can still learn. Probably we will have to do a little bit of more effort, a little bit of more work into it, but we can certainly do that. And so it's very, I don't know, I like the idea about that because it's like we don't have excuses to learn new things, that if we want to learn new things, it doesn't matter our age. And so the neuroplasticity of our brains probably won't be the same as when we were children, but it's okay. We can learn new things. So everything is connected. Everything, the knowledgement, the emotions. So everything is connected with our nervous system. And so it's very interesting also that he is talking about the screens, how, everything is so connected. Like I'm talking right now and it sounds like nonsense, but it can be interesting when you start connecting the dots. For example, our emotions are many times we don't know why we are feeling these emotions, and we are not thinking about how much time we spend in front of a screen. And so this has a lot to do with why we don't know what we are feeling right now, or why we are feeling sometimes so mad or so angry. we don't know that our brains are just like looking at everything we are looking to the screen into the screen from the screen. So they are the brain absorbs information. And it's very interesting what he says. Andrew Huberman says that the exposure to the screen light between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m., it activates a certain specific circuit in our brains, and that lowers the dopamine, and that makes us feel not depressive, but a certain level of disappointment. A lot of youngers, a lot of people from teenagers, they spend a lot of time in the screen at this time of the night. And so now you can explain yourself, like now you can think about it. And there is a lot of depression nowadays. It's tons of depression. You don't know why, but I think it's related to the screen time that we spend in front of our phones, in front of social media.
Oh, actually, Maria, I like how you connected all these topics, especially topics that we already talked about, like loneliness, depression, and those things. And yes, now I have a lot to say.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
uh, starting from neuroplasticity, it's pretty flexible till 25, around this age. And after this, yes, we can learn new habits, but because we are an adult, we like have already consistent structure. And of course, this structure uh, became because we had certain experiences and because of what we needed to have during this time. And about excuses, I read a very great book. It names uh, How to Think Big, uh, something like this. And of course, there was a chapter about excuses, about age excuses, about different kind of excuses like I'm too old or I'm too young to do something. This is another interesting topic to explore. But
Yes.
of course, we can talk about it later. I also heard that there is a certain time when we're trying to follow a sleep and we can't because of the screen affection for our melatonin level or something like this, and we can sleep normally. Yes, it leads to depression, and also we have something like uh, dopamine drugs by watching our phone. So this is like we becoming like puppets, like animals who follows their instincts. But when we wake up, we figuring out that there is a lot of time was spent for not important things, not for what we wanted to do or how we wanted to affect this life, the real life. And this is really sad, and it can lead to disappointment and depression, and even more depression because, uh, yes, because you didn't do anything into reality and you don't know how to quit this habit to look at the screen all the time because you wanted to fulfill this hollow, inner hollow in yourself. And speaking about uh, how to overcome it, how to work with it, just remember the day when you didn't need it, your screen, your phone, what this day was looking like. Because I remember the time when I was hanging out with some people. It was really funny. It was a night in the summer, and we create fire, and we were uh, speaking together. We were playing some games, and we it was my brother's birthday. Yes.
Oh,
Then we brought guitar, and there wasn't time to look at the screen because it was much more fun into reality. And we suggest you to think about such moments and find a replacement for many things on the screen. Literally, to say it's nothing funny about the screen. Yes, we have dopamine, but after its ending, after we end some movie or whatever, we have some kind of affection, but then we need more and more and more, and it never ends. So if you want to see yourself happy, let's just find something that fulfill our lives, like the affection of sport. You just need to find something comfortable for you, like playing badminton, whatever, uh, volleyball, skiing, or maybe you want just using batons to jumping, and you will enjoy it, and it will help lose calories too. So. Uh, I suggest just going outdoors, and getting new experience. You
Yeah,
creating your stories of yeah.
yeah, I think it's quite a good thing to say. I agree completely with you. And I also would suggest, I once watched in this podcast about this millionaire guy that has a lot of, projects and all that stuff. And he said that instead of just most people set up the alarm for the morning, you should wake up in the morning at a certain hour. But he set up the screen. No, he set up the alarm to go to sleep. So that means that, for example, that I started implementing it at night, and it's quite useful, I think, because, for example, if I need to go to bed at 10 p.m., because the next morning I will wake up early, then I will set up the alarm at 9:45 p.m. so that I go to wash my face and put on my pajamas and all that stuff. And then just disconnect from the screen. It's very important that we disconnect from our screens before we go to bed. Because if we go to bed with the screens, then why are you even in bed? Like, you should be doing something else. So if you go to bed, you just go to bed without the cell phone. My mom used to make us, when we started having cell phones, and my mom made us, my siblings and I, and also she and my dad, we had a table, in between the rooms, and she made us put our cell phones there. So when she went to bed, she checked that all the cell phones were there, like outside our rooms, because it's so important. And of course, we were teenagers, but I think it's very important to have the first. If you don't have the self control, then you should look for some help, definitely. And also at 2 a.m. approximately is when our brains are in a certain mood of deep rest. So if we are on the screen by that time, then later in the morning we will wake up feeling so bad. And so that's terrible. It's just habits. So we could start with small habits, like, for example, setting the alarm to go to sleep earlier. If you cannot go to sleep at 10 p.m., if you are used to sleep at 2 a.m., then probably you could start 1.5 a.m., half an hour, just step by step. And I think that's very interesting. Also, social media is destroying our lives somehow, but it has the good side because, for example, you and I, we are connecting, through social media, and we hope that we can help a lot of people.
It's
But
one
still,
great thing about
yeah,
it.
but still, I think it's like what you said about the exercise, or just going, for example, if you have the sun, just going outside to, like, to feel the sun on your face. Everybody's telling you, oh, the sun is just the worst thing that can happen. Of course not. The sun is life. That's why we live, because of the sun, of the sunlight. So we need the sunlight and we need it directly. I'm not talking about, that you go to the beach and you just stay for 2 hours without sunscreen. No. But I mean, yeah, I mean that we could start implementing certain little habits, as you said, just listening to the birds instead of watching your phone, for example, for 5 minutes is not a great deal. And for kids, I think experiments, because when I was a kid, I remember that my mom bought us a book of experiments. So we went out to the garden and we started building a volcano or whatever, on the book. And it was very fun. It's so much fun to be outside because your brain works differently than when you are in front of a screen. So yeah, I agree with you.
According to Huberman, you don't need 21 days to build a habit. You need much more, about a year or so. But you can start from reading the book before you go to sleep, or maybe there's something else that you enjoy, that you actually enjoy. And then you're coming to a good mood, and you can also promise yourself, okay, I will look at the screen at another time later. And like this, you postponing it. Yes. We used to postpone the important thing instead of your enjoyment. But let's do it otherwise and postpone watching the screen. And it's easier than you can think about it.
Yeah, surely I agree with you. And that's part of also to strengthen the will, the power of our will, um, because we have a prefrontal cortex in our brains, and that is the part of our brains that is in charge of our will, the strength of will. So if you postpone something that you want so much, it's easier that this part of your brain gets stronger, which is quite good. It's actually excellent. And you will be able to overcome easily the obstacles of, for example, getting a new habit. So, my idea of this is, for example, if you want to start training this part of your brain, you could do, for example, if you are so thirsty, you can wait 2 minutes instead of going right now for the water and drink the water. You can postpone this for 2 minutes. Nothing will happen to you. You won't die. And on the other side, you will get a very good outcome. And so I think it's like we should start by little things, because sometimes when we want to start a new habit for, this amazing huge program of life that changes everything and turn upside down your previous habits, you won't probably succeed, because you need to start by little steps.
Yes, yes, of course. Because you're not some kind of superhero who can do anything at one time.
Yeah,
So,
it would be amazing, but no, that doesn't happen.
and
Uh-huh.
that's the beautiful thing about it, that we need to overcome something and become stronger. And the point of the life it's in development.
I think that when we want to change our lives, our habits, we should feel that there is someone else, you know, just by our side or backing up, or it's so important that you don't feel alone against the whole world. Basically, I think that we all have this issue with social media, with the screens, because it's like a technological world. Whether you want it or not, you kind of struggle with it in different ways, but we struggle with this addiction. Somehow you all of a sudden wake up and you're addicted to the screen. You didn't even know when this addiction started. But I think it's because we are so used to this technology. So it's very important to feel that there are many people struggling with the same, but not just that. So the main thing is to feel that we are trying to help each other to overcome this, with free tips from me, for example, and other stuff. Yeah, I think it's important.
Yes, and what work can do about it. For example, I will buy English language book and put it on my table because right now I'm in the situation when I need to economy my money to
Mhm.
use it very properly, and I'm reading from the screen, but it's not the same like the book, of course. Of course.
Yes.
So, of course, this is my action I'm going to do after our video.
Uh-huh. So we should start buying, for example, more physical books and reading, I don't know, perhaps one page, or if it's too much, one paragraph per day. And if we continue doing this every day, actually, it's quite interesting how much you can get from small actions every single day, like small little actions. And I don't know, the outcome can be quite interesting.
Yes, it's like domino effect.
Don't ask me right now, Anna, please. It's just for the people that are watching the video. But yeah, it's
Okay, I'm I'm keeping silence. This is our ending of the amazing episode from Marie and Anna.
it was nice talking to you, and I hope someone gets interesting information, at least one person. We could help a lot of people, but I hope we can help a lot of people, but I will be glad if at least one person gets useful information from this episode.
Yes, and we hope you will leave comments below and tell us your opinion without any negative, please. We don't appreciate it.
Please have mercy on us.
Yes.
Surely. Uh-huh.
We'll see you in other episodes, and we promise it will be even better than this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.